Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Houston Sports Talk back on the video today, and today we're going to be previewing the 2023 NBA Finals, as I can't believe we are only one day away from the NBA Finals. It feels like just yesterday the season was just getting started. I mean, I know it's been a long season, but this season has gone, in my opinion, has gone by really fast, and we're only a couple more weeks left of this season. NBA Finals are starting tomorrow in Denver at 7:30 for Game 1. And the finals, if it went to Game 7, would the finals would end on the 18th, or it could end earlier if one of these teams wins. I honestly don't think one of these teams can pull off a sweep. I think both teams are talented enough to pull off a sweep, but I think, I don't think Miami could get a sweep because I don't think you can't beat Denver 4 times in a row. And I think Denver would be the team more likely to get the sweep, but I do think Miami will not lose 4 times in a row. So I think this is going to be a long series. I think this is probably, the most, we haven't seen a Game 7 in the NBA Finals since that 3-1 comeback in the 2015-16 season when the Cleveland Cavaliers were down 3-1 to the Golden State Warriors and came back all the way down from 3-1 and sent it to Game 7 and won Game 7 and became the first team in NBA history to come back 3-1 in the NBA Finals. And that was the last time we saw a Game 7. It's been, 7 years? Yeah, 7 years since there's been a Game 7 in the NBA Finals. We've came close. The Warriors in the Suns lost in Game 6. The Celtics lost in last year the Celtics lost in Game 6. Suns lost in Game 6. Then year before, Miami lost in Game 6 to the Lakers. Then the Warriors lost to the Raptors in Game 6 in 18-19 season. But then the year before that, the Warriors swept the Cavaliers, so really not that close. And then the final year, the year after that Game 7, the Warriors beat the Cavs in 5. So that's been the previous finals since the Game 7 of the Cavaliers. So there's been a couple Game 6s, but I don't think those were really any really close Game 6s where we almost had a Game 7. And I think this is one in the last 7 years is probably the series I think has been, in my opinion, the most chances to maybe be a Game 7. I honestly really did think the Phoenix-Milwaukee finals in 2021 would be a Game 7 series, but Milwaukee took care of business in 6 games. But I think really this series has a lot of potential to go 7 games. We're gonna go over it all. I'm gonna start off with the times of all the games and the dates and where they are, what channel. Well, the same channel every game. Every game is on ABC. I'm gonna give all the information out so everybody knows. Then I'm gonna get to injuries. Then I'm going to get to predictions. So let's get into it. So Game 1, tomorrow, Thursday, June 1st, 2023, of course, if you don't know. It's 2023. Just making sure you're okay. 7:30. Most games are at 7:30, but there are 2 games that are at 7 o'clock. Game 2 and a potential Game 7 would be at 7 o'clock. But 7:30 start for Game 1 on ABC. June 4th is Game 2. There's a 3-day difference in every game besides Game 2 to Game 3. 3 days between Game 1, Game 2, and Game 3. Game 2 and Game 3. So Game 1, June 1st. Game 2, June 4th. Then Game 3, June 7th. So those are 3 days apart from each other, all those games. And then Game 4 in Miami, Game 4 would be June 9th, and then Game 5, June 12th, then Game 6, June 15th, and then Game 7, June 18th. So, Game 2, June 4th, 7 p.m. in Denver. Then the first game in Miami, June 7th, 7:30 in Miami. Then And that's also the game Tyler Hero is expected to return for the Miami Heat. Then Game 4, June 9th, 7:30, June 12th, Game 5 back in Denver if I don't see Miami being swept, so I do think that Game 5 will happen. But June 12th, 7:30 is Game 5. Then back to Miami at 7:30. On the 15th of June, and then the 18th of June would be Game 7 at 7:00 in Denver. So those are the games, the full list of the finals games through 7 games, if necessary, with games 5 to 6, if a potential sweep would happen. Now, injuries. The Denver Nuggets have no injuries. Well, they do have one, Colin Gillespie, and he does not matter. I don't even think I don't even think Colin Gillespie would be playing for the Denver Nuggets if it was a blowout. That injury is nothing for the Denver Nuggets. But the Heat have some injuries that are meaningful. Tyler Hero is still injured with his broken wrist or hand, I think. Is it wrist or hand? Broken wrist or hand, I think. And he is expected to return Game 3. They're lucky I think in that Game 1 against Milwaukee in the first round, when Tyler Hero got his hand injured, everybody was like, okay, Tyler Hero is not coming back. We're not going to see him again because Miami's not going to win this series. And I think if it's, some people might have thought Miami would have made it this far to the, I think definitely after that Game 1, maybe some people thought Miami possibly would have won that Milwaukee series after Game 1, but I don't think anybody at that point in that first round really thought Miami would make it to the NBA championship. But I really do think that adding Tyler Hero back for the Heat in that potential Game 3 will be huge for them. Also, Victor Oladipo is out for the season. That's horrible for him, man. I mean, he's had so many bad leg injuries, and now another one. He's not a huge impact player as much as Tyler Hero is for that team, but I don't know if he'd get rotate. I don't think he'd be playing that much, even if healthy. Even though he's a good impact player, I think he averaged around 10 points for the Miami Heat this season. I don't think he'd be playing that much in the rotation, even if he was healthy. But it just sucks to see for him because he's dealt with so many injuries throughout his career, and it's just awful to see for for Victor Oladipo. But those are the only 2 injuries for the Miami Heat. So Nuggets, no impact players have any injuries for the Nuggets, and then Victor Oladipo is out for the season, and Tyler Hero is expected to return Game 3, but will miss Game 1 and Game 2. And hopefully Game 3 will be his return back in Miami. So that's it for the injuries. And before I get into my predictions, I'm gonna get into my predictions, and then I'm gonna get into the keys to the series, I guess, for both teams. Getting into Game 1. I got to go with Miami Game 1. Denver has been amazing at home in the playoffs. They have not lost at home in the playoffs. They beat Minnesota all 3 times playing at home in the first round, so 3-0. Then they beat Phoenix, I think, again, 3 times at home, so 6-0. And then they beat LA twice at home. So they're 8-0 at home in the playoffs. That's eventually going to have to, end. And not only that, Denver has not played since May 22nd. It's going to be 10 days. It's been 9 days since they've played today. Then tomorrow, Game 1, will be 10 days since they played. They're probably a little rusty. Played an amazing series against the LA Lakers. Swept the Lakers. Played great basketball. And also, didn't they? Yeah, they've won their last 6 games going back to the Phoenix series. They won the last 2 games of the Phoenix series, and then they swept the Lakers. So they've won the last 6 games. They haven't played in 10 days. They've won 6 straight playoff games. Miami's had short rest, and that could be an advantage. Denver hasn't played in 10 days, and Miami last played on Monday. So I have to go with Miami getting the win and Denver being a little bit rusty with not playing in about 10 days. So in that case, I think Denver loses Game 1, and I think Denver looks a little bit bad in Game 1. But 3 days later, June 4th, Game 2, I think Denver bounces back and destroys Miami in Game 2. I think Miami takes care of business in Game 1, but I think Denver destroys Miami in Game 2 after taking a bad Game 1 loss. But Game 3, going to Miami, Tyler Hero returns. I have the Miami Heat just balling out in game three. I think it's a close game, the first close game of the series, but I have Miami having an amazing 3-point shooting night, getting Tyler Hero back. I think they play great team basketball. I think Jimmy has a good game. I think Hero has a good game returning from the injury. I think maybe Caleb Martin has a good game. I think the Miami's shooting in game three and how good they've been at, mostly been good at the postseason at home will just be amazing for the Miami Heat in this end of this. Sorry, the start of the series in Miami, and Miami takes a 2-1 lead in Miami and is up 2-1. But then game four, 2 days later, June 9th, 7:30, in game four, huge game for Denver. Miami could go up 3-1. Honestly, Denver's such a good team. If Miami were to win game four, I could see Denver coming back with how we saw Miami lose 3 straight games. I think it is definitely possible. If Denver goes down 3-1, I could definitely see Denver coming back. But I don't think that's going to be possible because I really do think that the Denver Nuggets will end up winning game 4 and end up tying the series. I think it's going to be a close game. I think Miami's going to play a really good game. I think maybe even have a lead in this game in the first half and Denver comes back. That's what I'm sort of thinking. Maybe Denver makes a comeback in this game. Miami has a really good first half, not so much second half. And Denver, I'm thinking Denver wins this game around by 6 to 8 points in this one. And Denver ties the series up at 2. And then Denver, Going back home for a game 5. Denver, amazing at home in the playoffs. At this point, they would have only lost 1 game in the playoffs. They'd be 9-1 in the playoffs. Let's say 10-1. I think Denver wins a game 5 back in Denver. Game 5 would be June 12th, 7:30. I think Denver takes a 3-2 lead, which would be 2 wins in a row for Denver, and it'd be a 3-2 lead for Denver. But then game 6, elimination game, Miami, season on the line. I think Miami has an amazing game 6, and Jimmy Butler balls out. Bam has a really good game. So does the rest of the Miami Heat role players. I think the Miami Heat get a really big win and send this series to game 7. But like I said, the Denver Nuggets are an amazing team at home in the playoffs. And I think the first game 7 in 7 years will be going to the Denver Nuggets, and the Denver Nuggets will become NBA championships. And the finals MVP will be Nikola Jokic. I have Jokic winning finals MVP. I think it really depends. I think Jokic would probably be good enough in this series to win finals MVP, but I think it really depends on Jamal Murray. Does Jamal Murray play the way he did in this series, in the last series against the Lakers? Because if Jamal Murray is going to play like that, the way he did against the Lakers, I think Jamal Murray, I think Jamal Murray could really potentially end up maybe being a candidate for finals MVP, but I think ultimately you go to Jokic. He's their leader, and I think finals MVP would go to Jokic. I think Denver wins this series in 7. I'm gonna kind of get into the keys of the series for Denver. I think they just need to keep doing what they're doing. I think there's gonna be some games they lose in the series. I think game 1, game 3, and game 6. Those are games like game 1. They're gonna be rusty without not playing in 10 days. Game 3, Miami back at home with the series tied up. Tyler here returning. Miami's gonna be fired up, and so is their crowd. And it's gonna be Miami's first finals game in Miami since LeBron was in Miami. Because yes, Miami was in the NBA championship in 2020, but that was in the bubble. No fans were there. That Miami crowd in game 3 is going to be unbelievable loud. Miami's going to be all fired up. The city's going to be fired up. The team's going to be fired up, especially getting Tyler Hero back. Their first finals game, their first finals series since 2014, 2013, I think like 2015, 2014, whatever, since LeBron was on their roster. Because they were in the finals in 2020, but it was in the bubble. The game 3's Miami's gonna be fired up. Game 1, Denver is gonna be rusty, and Miami just played on Monday. Game 6, if that's an elimination game in Miami where they play really good at, Miami's not going to back down without a fight. So I think game 1, game 3, and game 6 are all the winnable games for the Miami Heat, and especially with 2 of them being at home. I really could see. I know I've seen some people who think Miami don't even have a shot in this series. Think Miami might potentially end up being losing this series in 5 or being swept, but I don't see it. I see Miami getting off to the series on a hot start, winning game 1, game 3, getting the confidence to win game 3, game 6, an elimination game, not backing down. I think Miami plays really good in the series, but it's not enough to beat the Denver Nuggets, and Miami loses this series in 7. But at Denver, I really think Denver just needs to do the same thing they've been doing throughout the whole playoffs. But I think this will be the hardest competition they've faced throughout the playoffs. I really do. I think Miami's the hardest team they've faced, and I don't think Miami's had the best talent. I think Miami's has better talent than the Lakers. Not so much this. Honestly, I would say I do think Miami has a better all-around roster than the Phoenix Suns. I really do. Yes, the Suns have Kevin Durant and Devin Booker, but besides Durant, Booker, Aiden, and Chris Paul, the Suns' depth is not as deep as the Heat. The Heat have Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, Caleb Martin. Saw how he did in the Eastern Conference Finals. Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson, Gabe Vincent, Max Strus, Kevin Love, who he's very familiar with the NBA Finals, with how many times he's been in the NBA Finals with the Cleveland Cavaliers. The list of the depth at the Miami. Kyle Lowry as well. He has NBA Finals experience. He was there in 2018-19 with the Raptors. I think that Miami has an unbelievable shot to win this series, but I think Denver has more talent. I think Miami really is the best all around depth and talent that Denver has faced throughout the playoffs, despite playing the Lakers and the Suns. Yes, that's probably the Suns, probably the 2 best players that the Nuggets have faced throughout the playoffs. But I think throughout the whole roster, throughout the whole rotation, this is the most definitely talented team I think the Nuggets are going to end up playing in the finals, throughout the whole playoffs, because you look through depth chart through 1 through 9. You got a lot of scores in that Miami 1 through 8, because I think there's a 4th player that comes off the bench for the Heat, but I think it's Haywood Highsmith, but he doesn't do that much. He's not that much effective as the others, but I really do think 1 through 8 roster. Looking at the depth chart 1 through 8 for the Miami Heat, I do think this is the best roster the Denver Nuggets have faced. But I think it's still gonna be, even though they got a hard challenge, I think it's still, for Denver, it's gonna be a hard fight. But I think Denver is gonna be able to deal with it and win the NBA Finals. You guys have your thoughts. This video, hope you guys enjoyed, and peace out.